Good morning, everyone, or at least good morning from me. I hope that everyone's really enjoying the Reactive Summit so far. Also, I want to take the opportunity and wish you all a happy Cookie Monster Day. Now that y'all know that it is Cookie Monster Day, let me go share my screen, and we'll actually get started with my lightning talk on why your next API is going to be a stateful serverless one. So. Oh, let me click play. So again, good morning, evening, afternoon, depending on where you are on the planet. I just saw someone from Serbia say hello. So good evening, I think, to you. My name is Leon, and over the next few minutes, I'm going to take you on a journey as to why your next API is going to be a stateful serverless one. And every fairy tale starts the same way, with once upon a time in a land far, far away. And obviously, this presentation is not going to be a fairy tale. You do want to have a stateful serverless API. I just want to set the stage with a story as to why you want one. So imagine this. You work at the corporate office of a very large coffee franchise chain, and your business unit is going to be responsible for all of the IT systems and the software that all of those franchisees use. And this is you. You are the senior staff engineer on the team that's responsible for all of those backend services for customer loyalty. And that system is like one of your primary differentiators for your company that it has over all of the other coffee chains that exist. And so far, things have been going rather smoothly. And this is your manager. She is the VP of engineering, the principal architect, the director of engineering, whatever you want to call it. She not only needs to execute on this higher level business strategy, she needs to do it fast, and she needs to do it at a very large scale. Remember, she is responsible for all of the franchisees at the same time. And then all of a sudden, your executive team comes together, and the newly hired VP of customer loyalty suggests to launch a completely new loyalty program together with a massive marketing campaign. And he promises everyone that the program is going to be live in the next month or so. And this large-scale rollout that usually happens over the course of a year now needs to happen in just a few weeks. And as things go, you and your team need to make sure that it happens. So as you try to figure out just how to accomplish that, you realize that there are quite a few challenges. You need to ramp up the team to make sure that everyone understands what they're building and why they're building it. You need to get the right infrastructure, whether it's serverless or hardware. You need to deploy that stuff somewhere. Speaking of, you need to decide on technology. Are you going to use the stuff that you already have? Are you going to use something new? Which languages, which frameworks, all of that good stuff. And together with your manager, you need to decide on the rollout plan. And as luck would have it, every store needs to have it on the exact same day at the exact same moment. So customers, and those are both your existing customers as well as the new ones that you're trying to target with this loyalty program, they're going to be incredibly influenced by this experience. I mean, this is like the perfect storm of almost impossible customer expectations, both from within your own organization, like the VP of customer loyalty, as well as the external folks, like the people that buy your coffee. And those near impossible expectations are obviously set by those marketing campaigns, and they need to be met with some technology, but they need to be met with technology ASAP. And it turns out that we can't do what we've always done. Why not, you ask? Because it is really time consuming building a brand new architecture. Just look at all the building blocks that are on the screen right now. There are just so many. And the only thing that actually matters is that little orange block, your application. Some of those architectures are not scalable, not elastic enough. I mean, ordering hardware and finding the folks to manage all that is going to take time. Do you have the time? Do you want to train your people to go do that? It can be costly. I mean, the hardware, even in the cloud, can be incredibly expensive, and you're going to need a lot of skilled staff to maintain and operate it, and that is incredibly expensive as well. I mean, a single server is great. It's totally easy, but at scale, that's going to become a nightmare. I mean, nobody cares about the server that's running under my desk, but if all of a sudden I have to run the entire loyalty brand for Acacino, that's going to be a challenge. It can also be too legacy. If you start to cut corners to meet your deadline, then your teams are going to rush to build everything with lesser controls. They might leverage existing things that just aren't set up for that high performance, for that elasticity. So you're going to fail from brittleness of your end solution. And speaking of failing, if you cut those corners, you're setting yourself up with even more legacy and tech debt down the line. And you're going to end up with burnout teams that are about to revolt, and nobody really wants that, let's be honest. So let's talk about serverless, because what you need in order to make all of this work is just a bunch of functions, right? That means no infrastructure, near infinite scale, only pay for what you use. I mean, it literally feels like serverless is the best thing to happen to IT architecture since Betty White, which was before the invention of sliced bread. So as the gnomes in South Park already knew, step 3 is profit, but how do we get there? Because serverless in itself is only part of the equation. And that's where we get back to stateful serverless. You're going to get tons of questions from both your internal and external customers. Questions like, what qualifying transactions have I done as a customer that qualify for these loyalty points? What's the current balance on my loyalty card? What can I actually use those points for? And does the store that I usually go to actually have that special blend of coffee I like still in stock? And that means that normal stateless just won't be sufficient. In this case, the data to answer these questions is as important as the business logic. So that means that the answer is just more serverless, right? I mean, we need something to store all that data. And then with the invention of the database, we obviously solved that problem in our industry ages ago. But then the question is, why does every function need to call to a central location? Can we use a cache? Do our developers actually know how the exact data model of the database is? So you know what? Let's add a serverless cache so that now everything is going to talk to a cache and maybe to a database. And sure, that requires some extra code for consistency, but you know that probably works, right? Then we realized that all of those functions actually need to talk to each other. So we're going to add a serverless event broker to make that happen. And all of a sudden, we're back to square one. We have the same complexity, the same complex environment that we had before, just now in serverless. So there's obviously missing a step here, and that is, as I said, a stateful serverless, giving you the ability to think about your data, model your data, and make sure that it runs together with your functions and get your data to your function at the right time in the right context. And that allows your developers to implement that actual business logic using the language you want, deploying it using technologies that you feel comfortable with. And speaking of modeling things, part of our core DNA at Lightbend is the belief that your data should be available to your service when it needs it. So thinking about the data model, not the database, really gives you the opportunity to think about what makes sense for your API, what makes sense for that loyalty campaign. And obviously, an incredible important part is making sure that you focus on what to connect to, like messaging buses, APIs, gateways, stuff like that, but not how. That is what a platform should do for you. So all of that combined, that is what at Lightbend we call stateful serverless. And because you're updating the behavior of your code, not really thinking about hiring new staff, retraining them, you have the team think about code, not servers. You have the team think about the data they need in their API, not the databases that ultimately need to store all of that data. Because all of that, you and the team pulled off this massive rollout, made everyone super happy, grew the business faster than ever before, and as sort of a thank you, they made you the employee of the month. That is what Akka Serverless is all about. That is what we call stateful serverless at Lightbend. And if you're curious and want to try some of that stuff out yourself, go visit akkaserverless.com. With that, I thank you all for joining me. I hope you have an amazing Reactive Summit, and I hope to see you all again. Thank you so much.